Hi, it's Julie Davis, and I'm here again with RiskCommunities, and we're doing another film series and segment on insurance and risk management issues that are relevant to the technology industry. And I have Scott here with me. And Scott, we're here to talk a little bit about the outsourcing contracts. The technology industry for a very long time has been very rich in utilizing outsourcing contracts. They utilize them for consulting, for manufacturing, their product, maybe for R&D, for supply chain management. And clients have a few questions that they constantly ask whenever they review and reevaluate their outsourcing contracts.
Absolutely. It's key to keep in mind the two ways that you can share the risk. One is through indemnity agreements, which everyone has seen and heard of, and the other is through insurance. Now, keeping in mind those two ideas, it's important to understand the difference, such that I hear a lot from companies, well, we have an indemnity agreement, so we're okay. We don't need to worry about the insurance issues. I suggest rethinking that, and let me give you an example of what happened with one of my clients. My client had an indemnity agreement where my client was the indemnity and was supposed to receive indemnification, defense and indemnity for any claim that came in. Well, that was all great until the indemnitor, the contracting partner, went bankrupt. And the indemnitor went into the bankruptcy court and asked the bankruptcy court to reject the contract, which basically mean they don't have to indemnify anymore. And the court agreed, such that there was no need for that contracting partner to provide indemnity anymore. Now, if the company goes into bankruptcy, rejects its indemnity obligations, you're in a situation where, as the indemnity, where you thought you were fully protected, now the risk and the financial costs falls on your shoulders. And so understanding where indemnity has its limits as compared to insurance is important. And there are times when it's appropriate to actually be both an indemnity and an additional insured, or vice versa, depending upon your setup and what the contract says. But understanding this and thinking it through in terms of worst case scenario, the importance of that can't be overstated.
Right. And so financial stability plays a very large role in reevaluating those outsourcing contracts. What about geographic location? There was so much that went on, certainly with the Japan quake and the disaster there. Is that something that people should look at and consider as they reevaluate their outsourcing contracts?
Without a doubt, you should look at it from two perspectives. The first perspective is in terms of the contract. Obviously, you have to understand what law is going to apply if something does go wrong. You also want to understand under the policies that you hold that you think may apply to these obligations, are there limitations in terms of geographic point of issue, such that if data is being stored in a third world country in a data warehouse, will your insurance policies cover if there's a loss at that location, or would the loss be considered to take place within the US? Other things to keep in mind, the Japan earthquake is a perfect example, are how will your policies, such as your first party policy, apply? So if you suffer a loss because a third party with whom you're contracting is not able to deliver products or able to allow you to do what you need to do, how will your policy apply? So we all have heard of business interruption insurance, which says if my business is shut down, I can get insurance coverage for that. I can get extra expense coverage. I can get coverage for the increased costs. But there's something that not that many people understand or know about. It's called contingent business interruption coverage. So let me give you an example. We had a client that shipped products through, they're a food manufacturer, and they ship products through the Gulf Coast. When Katrina hit, it shut down virtually everything going through the Gulf Coast. And so the client itself didn't actually have much of a direct hit in terms of damage to its property. But in terms of being able to continue its business internationally, it was unable to ship through the Gulf Coast. And we made a claim, actually ended up settling the day of the opening statements of trial, against insurance companies saying that the contingent business interruption coverage applied, such that the loss and the shutdown of a contracting partner affected our client, so that our client wasn't able to do its business, wasn't able to go on. If you're in a situation, for example, where your data is stored in the cloud, and the cloud provider suffers some kind of loss, it's perhaps suffering from the Japan earthquake, some other natural disaster, or some other event, and that affects you, think about your contingent business interruption coverage to see whether and how that applies to protect you against losses caused by somebody else.
Great, Scott. Thank you so much. So for those companies that are looking to review or reevaluate their outsourcing contracts, certainly those are great points to keep in mind. Thank
Thanks.
you.